What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share the video. Hit the join button and become a member. Why? Well, members get exclusive content. Hit the bell icon on my channel so that you will receive a notification every time that I drop a video. You can go and check it out, like the video, and leave a comment if you support me and support the channel. Before I get into the story, let me say I'm about to expand my content. I have other things that I want to speak about. I only keep talking about this gang shit and who stabbed who in prison. I know that that is what you guys want to hear, and I don't want to do the old bait and switch. I want to say that this is a prison channel and then start talking about something else and people take offense to it. Like, man, you said this was about prison. I'm here to hear who got stabbed in prison or whatever. But I also want to speak on P. Diddy. That incident that he's involved in that surrounds him right now affects the culture in so many different ways. TD Jakes. I want to do a video on Lil Fee from 60s and Timmy Tucker from H. Ray Kingston. They both went to the wrong house and unalive the wrong family. I want to talk about maybe No Jumper and Adam 22, DJ Vlad. Are they, like America, exploiting our culture, getting rich off of us? Are they stoking and fomenting violence amongst black people and black gangs and then laughing all the way to the bank? My mind works more than just prison. I have more to offer and a bigger message than just prison. I want to talk about my life, sort of a autobiographical channel where I was thinking about starting another channel and naming it Damian Porter, Life Before and After Prison. And therefore, and on that channel, I can talk about some of the robberies that I had that led me to prison, the environment that I grew up in, how I adopted certain perspectives and concepts, some of the gang wars that I went through, how I got shot and why, etc. And what's been happening and the challenges that I faced since leaving prison and the challenges that other people will face leaving prison. And my brother himself, my little brother, said that he wants to hear me speak on the P. Diddy issue and other issues, that he personally, he just wants to hear what I have to say about it. And you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Regardless of what you say, chances are I'm about to pivot somewhat and also have content about other stuff that's important to me and important to the culture. Let's get into it. This incident transpired in Chino Prison, Chino State Prison, CIM, California Institute for Men, or California Institution for Men. I was there in 1996 and in 1997 on a parole violation. Chino typically houses incarcerated people who are there for a parole violation, or it's a lower level prison. It has dorms also, and it has cells. But typically, it houses lower level inmates and people there for a parole violation, either waiting to get transferred to another prison or they're doing a parole violation right there in Chino. There was a guy there named John Blaylock. He was from East Coast CRIPS. According to all accounts, he was a shot caller. I don't know whether he was or not. Also, according to accounts, he had mental issues. He was not mentally stable. Now, sometimes inmates will play a mental game, sort of work the system so that they can go to a lower level prison. These are what we call the J-Cats. Again, a J-Cat is someone who has mental issues, mental shortcomings. But sometimes this is not accurate. This is not the case. Because if you're a J-Cat, again, you're not supposed to be on a level 4 yard. You come to the level 4 yard and you're a J-Cat, I'm going to get you out of there. Other people are going to get you out of there because you cause problems. These J-Cats cause riots because they're not all there. And so these J-Cats know this, that really they can't go to a level 4 yard. So they'll play like they're a J-Cat to the police so they can get to a medical facility or a lower level prison, etc. But again, nothing's really wrong with them. I don't know whether there's something really wrong with this John Blaylock cat or not. Perhaps not. I don't see how he can be a shot caller and be a J-Cat. I've never heard of that. Now, oftentimes the COs will let the leaders outside of their cells to run around on a tier in every institution, in every facility. I experienced this in the county jail and in prisons as well. You'll see the leader out for the Southsiders, the Norteños, the whites, the others, every group. Because you're on the tier making transactions, passing weapons, you keep shit down for the police. The police come to you and say, hey man, this dude down here tripping, man, this and that. Can you take care? Can you holler at your people? Yeah, man, let me out my cell. You go down there and holler at them, tell them, man, chill out, man, because you don't want the police hitting y'all cell. Y'all got contraband in there, y'all got knives, y'all got other illegal stuff in there. So, and y'all have stuff coming in, and you're making money. So you're trying to keep everything cool in the unit, the module, the yard, what have you. And so the police tell you, man, take care of this, and you'll come out of your cell and try to quell whatever the situation is. Oftentimes, according to accounts, John Bloodedly was outside of his cell. The police, even the police in question, used to let him outside of his cell to come take care of certain situations. Now again, the East Coasters are really known for structured attacks against the opposition and against the COs. This is the same faction that ran into the program office in Calipatria and stabbed up COs, sergeants, and lieutenants in 1994, 1995, 1993, whenever that was. And this right here, by all accounts, was also a structured attack orchestrated by the East Coasters. John Bloodedly was one of them. Again, allegedly a shot caller, but he had two other dudes with him that were also from East Coast. This incident happened in January of 2005, January 10th of 2005. Now, from all accounts, because 4 different formal groups did an inquiry into the unaliving of this officer. 4 different groups: the San Bernardino Sheriffs, the Department of Corrections, a panel of experts, and the Attorney General's office. All 4 groups found that there were deficiencies in security, to say the least, there at Chino. That John Bloodedly, the inmate in question, the alleged shot caller from East Coast, had in excess of 20 write-ups for assaults on inmates and COs. And in fact, just in July of 2004, he had a stabbing against an inmate. And he went to the hole and did just 2 months and got out of the hole in September. So these reports were saying that he should have never been on the main line, should have never been in Chino, should have never been on a lower level prison, etc., because of all of his previous assault charges, violence in prison against COs and inmates. But yet, for whatever reason, they still had him there. Also, he had other write-ups, but just 20 for the assaults on staffs and inmates. And again, had just had a stabbing. And supposedly had told the COs, this one, Javier Gonzalez, Manuel Javier Gonzalez, who was unalive, supposedly John Bloodedly had told him that the black inmates are not happy about the riots that's been happening and the stabbings that's been happening, and feel like the police have been assisting the other races with these occurrences, and that essentially something's going to happen over this. Yet they still continue to let him out of his cell to roam the tiers and handle whatever it is and was that he was handling. And on this fateful day, they let him out of his cell. And they again, the report found that the officer himself that let him out of his cell violated protocol by letting him out of his cell, and he had some other door open that was supposed to have been secured, etc. So he lets him out of his cell, and somehow the other 2 dudes from East Coast ended up out of their cells as well. And they approached this officer, Gonzalez, 43 years old, had been working in CDC for 17 years. He had worked in, I believe it was Corcoran and Lancaster, and had transferred to Chino, and had been working in Chino since 1996. And this happened, so he had been in Chino for 9 years, but a total of 17 years as a correctional officer. Again, he was 43 years old and had 5 children and was married. And they let him, he let the John Blaylock out of his cell. John Blaylock and allegedly two other dudes from East Coast approached him from the back, grabbed him, turned him around, threw him up against the wall, according to the officer who witnessed the attack. Threw him up against the wall and stabbed him 3 times about the chest area and the abdomen. And the officer was rushed to the hospital, and he was unalived. He passed away, I believe, on the way to the hospital, certainly once he was in the hospital. And that was the first officer, correctional officer, who had been unalived since 1985, where another officer in San Quentin was walking down a tier doing his count, and somebody speared him and stabbed him and unalived him. 19 male employees have been unalived since 1952 in CDC. However, that pales in comparison to just the 50 inmates who were shot down and unalived by officers just from 1986 to 2004 alone. 50 inmates were shot down, as I alluded to, some of them for sport. Officers were betting on the fights and unaliving inmates. That's not to compare the two or to justify what happened to this officer, but I'm just saying this is the dynamic there in prison. There have been many staff assaults, but all of the unalivings have all been male COs, no female COs. Again, 19 of them in total. 3 of them were just employees, so not necessarily COs there. But this is since 1952. And again, this unaliving in 2005 was the first one of a correctional officer since 1985. It had been 20 years. So this is not really, assaults happen all the time, but not necessarily unalivings. I'm going to bring you some of the assaults, some of the vicious assaults that inmates have performed and executed against COs in the series coming soon. Some of them were outrageous and, again, nightmare-inducing. And I'm going to also bring you some of the assaults of COs against inmates coming soon. But you guys let me know what you think about the other content that I'm pondering issuing out. And again, thank everyone for supporting my channel. But the dude, he was released from his cell, and he hit the CO 3 different times. He played a mental game and tried to say that he wasn't competent to stand trial. The jury found that he was competent to stand trial. The CO's family filed a lawsuit for $100 million, a federal lawsuit, but they won 1.2, or they settled for 1.2 million for the officer being unalive for lax security and etc. there at Chino. And that's what happened. And that's the dangers of being in prison as an inmate or an officer. Stay free, people. Stay out. Stay free, people.